Holy crap, Hulu, an actual good Into the Dark movie. You guys, give a hand to yourself, pat yourself on the back, do something, because you guys did it. So this is another Into the Dark movie based on a holiday, and this holiday happens to be the 4th of July. By the way, you guys, happy 4th of July. We follow a Latina lady, Marisol, that is trying to cross the Mexican border. She is at the end of her pregnancy, too, like 9 months. I don't know why she's crossing right now, but that's kind of a big problem. She's doing that to start a better life for herself and her child. Marisol is also wary of the dangers crossing the border because last time she crossed the border, or at least tried to cross the border, her ex-boyfriend raped her and took all her money and then left her there defenseless. So she knows what it's going to take for her to cross, and she's wary of the dangers. The movie starts off with her hiring coyotes to get her across the border. Now, these coyotes, you get the feeling while watching the movie that they are, like, not to be trusted. They're shysters, basically. They'll steal your money, they rape women, they do all sorts of bad things to people just to get a buck or to get, some sort of release. I guess you'd say these sickos. But she's wary of that from last time, and she has that in the back of her mind while she's going ahead and, purchasing the coyotes. Or the help of the coyotes. But she's hiring them because that's the only way she's going to be able to cross the border. Because not just, Border Patrol, but also the cartel are out there too. And they're probably one of the most dangerous threats across the border. So that's why she's hiring. What's cool about this movie is you actually get to see the fear and danger of crossing the border. Because it's not an easy task at all. It's like 100 miles right there. And the other thing is, too, is that there's snakes, there's coyotes, there's cartel members. You have to watch out for the Border Patrol. There's a bunch of things that you have to you have to worry about in your head. And one of the big issues is just the people around you. A lot of the people that they're taking with them or they're paying for are not to be trusted as well. So already off the bat, the movie's already kind of scary in just a mortal sense. You're in danger at any moment. You're in the dark. Snakes, coyotes, animals, Mother Nature, the heat, people. It's all really scary just from the get-go of this movie. This isn't really a spoiler because it happens like in the very beginning of the movie, but they get caught by cartel members. As she's running, she's right there at the border, right there. These big lights flick on, and then she doesn't remember anything. So that's where the real, I guess it's a core aspect of the movie begins. And that's what changes the storyline a bit of this, kind of crossing the border aspect of everything. I can't go into spoilers. I don't want to go into details. Just work with me here. Once she's running across the border and the lights flash and she doesn't remember anything, she wakes up in a suburban kind of like townhome sort of area. It looks very 1950s-ish. It has like everyone's in a really nice dress. The guys are wearing suits and ties and, briefcases, candles swinging on the sunsets, and it looks almost too good to be true, and everyone acts way too nice. So it almost, just from the get-go, you get this sense of like eeriness. You're like, all right, what is going on here? This is too good to be true. No one has cars. It's very almost like they're in a different world at this point, and that's where kind of the horror takes its place because it doesn't. Something doesn't feel right, but you can't explain it. If I'm trying to compare what it feels like, what's going on in this movie, I'm not going to spoil anything, but if I would compare it to anything, if anyone who's played Fallout 3, there's a specific level that you go into, like not level, but area in the game, in the main storyline, that perfectly resembles this, you'd say, movie. And I can't really go into any more details, but once you guys watch the movie and you've played Fallout 3, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you guys have been watching Into the Dark on Hulu, like the series Into the Dark, the movies, you probably have already jumped ship because a lot of the movies, I guess you'd say, are utter trash. They're all like really shitty movies. This one actually steps it up, and it's actually good. The acting in this movie is spot on. When people are trying to be creepy, they come off very creepy. And what's cool about the movie is that in the beginning, with all, in Mexico and stuff like that, all the people are authentic Latin. They're all speaking fluid Spanish. My wife is Spanish, so she can catch on when people are kind of like speaking broken Spanish and they're like just trying to fill the role, but they're not really like Mexican or, a certain type of ethnicity in the movie. She really picks up on that because she is Spanish, she is Latin. She knows how to speak Spanish. So she was actually really impressed in the movie with the acting because everyone felt super genuine. It felt like we were watching like a Spanish show from Mexico, and it was fantastic. I really like the not message, but the culture of crossing the border, how they explain it in the movie. They're not ever pandering in the movie. They leave that out. They leave the politics out for the most part. What they do is they show the dangers, and that's all you really need to show. You just show the dangers of crossing the border and what people will genuinely try to do to make a better life for themselves, for their family, or for their unborn child, like the character in this movie is doing. I like how they kind of throw an olive branch in there. The olive branch that I'm speaking of is both the U.S. and Mexico does not like the cartel. And they really show how menacing the cartel is in this movie. They show that the cartel will actually go after their own people. They'll kill their own people without even thinking about it, Even the coyotes, the people who rape women when they go across the border and, steal everyone's money, they're afraid of the cartel and will run at the first sight of them. So that's really saying something. And I like how they kind of threw that in there. They're kind of like, hey, we know Americans have to deal with their bullshit sometimes, when it comes to like drugs and things like that, but we have to deal with their bullshit all the time. And I kind of like how they threw that in there. Nobody likes them. Nobody likes the cartel. And that's kind of like a little olive branch in where both people kind of hate the same evil. I like that. What I really like about this movie too is that they could have had a lot of political pandering in this movie. It's about the 4th of July. It's about immigration crossing the border. You know what time period we're in, and like the whole presidency and stuff like that, and the policies that are kind of being thrown around right now. So they could have really went hardcore with the politics in this movie, but they didn't. And they tried to make it with the scare factor, and they tried to keep the story on the basis of this woman, and really nothing about the whole scheme of politics. It was just about her trying to cross the border, make a better life for herself, and having to deal with some scary stuff on the way, not just with the cartel, but with another aspect I can't spoil. And I really appreciate that, because they really had all the kind of leeway, and they had all the red flags that could have been like, let's put as much politics in here as possible. But they didn't do that. They went and go ahead, we're going to entertain you first, and we're not going to do politics. And I really appreciate that, because when I watch a show or a movie or anything like that, it's for escapism, I see politics, I watch the news, all that bullshit. I get that all the time in my head every day, especially right now because the presidential, election's coming around the corner. And they decided not to do it. They decided not to do that and just make it a scary movie. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Hulu, for not doing the normal politics pandering stuff. Thank you. There's not a lot of jump scares in this movie. It doesn't feel like the average cliche horror movie, people jumping out of the closet and like the jump scare loud noises that kind of pop up. It's more of a mental horror, and I actually really appreciate that because, in the hundreds of horror movies that you see on Hulu or just in general, a lot of them have that kind of like cheap jump scare shit where someone jumps around a corner and all of a sudden a really loud noise rings. Not just the monster per se, but like they just throw in loud music. It's like, dude, of course you're gonna scare me. It goes from 0 volume to 100 volume in 2 seconds. Like an explosion went off next to my ear. Of course that's gonna make me jump. It's not really scary. It's more of just a shocking loud factor to it. This movie goes more of the mental direction, and I actually enjoy that more. I feel like that's more scary, because, like, if I picture the main character in this, if I picture myself in the shoes of this main character trying to cross the border, that already is a creepy and scary situation, just dangerous in general. And then when they move into this other aspect of the movie, it's very creepy, and, I can't go into any further things, but, like, she's pregnant, so she has to kind of take care of her baby as well. So protecting herself as well as her young while dealing with this bullshit, that already has like a weighing kind of like scare factor to it, just mentally, and I enjoyed it. This movie is a story about our main character trying to get across the border to make herself have a better life as well as her unborn child. And on the way, she has to deal with the cartel, the dangers of getting across the border, and a little bit something a little special. I'll just say it's a twist later, and that's good enough for me. You know, they keep on track. They have good acting in the movie. They have all the things that you'd want in a psychological horror movie. And it was tense, it was frightening, it was creepy, it had good acting, good culture. I loved it. That's all you need in a movie. You don't need to go anything else. It was simple, but they nailed the simplicity of the movie. That's what I wanted to say. They nailed the simplicity of this movie, and it really worked out for them. And I go ahead and give this Hulu Into the Dark original, Culture Shock, gets a B+. Now, the reason I give it a B+ and not an A or anything higher is just that the way the movie's structured isn't. It is not cliche. It's simple, right? Sometimes simple is better, and it is in this fact. But they don't ever surprise me at any point in this movie. Everything's pretty you're gonna catch on to what's going on pretty fast in the movie if you've watched any movie ever. And there were some creepy scenes. Nothing really frightened me. It was creepy. It was a little frightening. It wasn't. Nothing went the extra mile. You know what I mean? It was safe, but it was good for what it is. And that's why I give it a B+. So if you guys like my review, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. That would really help me out. I need the likes and subscribes, likes and subscribes. That was really, really stupid line that I just said. But that would really help me out if you guys can do that. Also, go ahead, click the bell icon. I've kind of recently figured out that you guys don't get notifications from me unless you click the bell. And I don't understand that. If you're subscribed to me, you're supposed to get my content, right? That makes sense, right? I wouldn't think, why would it need to be anything else? So, but until next time, you guys, thank you for watching, and see ya!